The night was moonless, and the sea stretched out before them like an endless expanse of ink. Aboard the fishing vessel Stella Maris, Captain James and his crew had cast their nets into the dark waters of the Atlantic, hoping for a bountiful catch. Little did they know that they would soon face a terror far more profound than the depths of the ocean. As the crew worked in silence, the only sound was the rhythmic creaking of the ship and the gentle lapping of waves against the hull. The air was thick with anticipation, for the crew knew that these waters were rumored to be haunted by the spirits of sailors long lost at sea. Suddenly, a violent jolt rocked the boat, sending crew members tumbling to the deck. The sea had grown turbulent, and the vessel was caught in the grip of a powerful, unseen force. Panic spread among the crew as they struggled to regain their footing. Captain James, a seasoned sailor with weathered features and a heart of iron, took command. He barked orders, trying to steer the ship to safety, but it was as if an invisible hand held them in its grasp, pulling them deeper into the abyss. The crew watched in horror as a massive whirlpool formed before them, its churning waters an inky blackness that seemed to defy the laws of nature. The Stella Maris was drawn inexorably toward the gaping maw of the abyss. Desperation set in as the crew realized there was no escape. They clung to the railing, their faces contorted with fear, as the ship was pulled beneath the surface. As they descended into the depths, the crew was plunged into darkness. The only light came from the bioluminescent creatures that inhabited the sea, casting an eerie glow on the ship's surroundings. The water itself seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy, as if it were a living, sentient being. Hours turned into days as the Stella Maris continued its descent into the abyss. The crew grew increasingly weary and disoriented, their senses dulled by the oppressive darkness. They whispered tales of the Black Abyss, a fabled realm beneath the sea where lost souls were said to dwell. One by one, crew members began to vanish. They would simply disappear without a trace, leaving behind only the echo of their last terrified screams. Captain James and the remaining crew were haunted by the feeling that they were being watched by unseen eyes. As they delved deeper into the abyss, they encountered strange and grotesque creatures, giant squids with tentacles that seemed to go on forever, luminescent jellyfish with tendrils that glowed with an otherworldly light, and fish with razor-sharp teeth that circled the ship like vultures. Captain James knew that they were no longer in the world they had known. They were in a realm where the laws of reality no longer applied, where the boundaries between the living and the dead had dissolved. One night, as Captain James stood alone on the deck, he saw it, a colossal, shadowy figure moving in the depths below. It was a leviathan, a creature of ancient legend, its enormous form cloaked in darkness. The leviathan circled the ship, its massive eye fixed on Captain James. It was a gaze that pierced his soul, filled with a malevolent intelligence that defied comprehension. In that moment, he knew that the Leviathan was the source of their torment, the entity that had brought them to this cursed abyss. Desperation gave way to madness as Captain James and the remaining crew members plotted their escape. They crafted makeshift diving suits from barrels and ropes, hoping to plunge into the abyss and make their way back to the surface. With hearts pounding, they descended into the depths, their torches illuminating the eerie, phosphorescent landscape. The Leviathan watched them from the shadows, its presence a constant, oppressive weight. As they reached the deepest point of the abyss, they encountered a gateway, a swirling vortex of darkness that seemed to lead back to their world. With a collective burst of strength and determination, they swam through the portal, leaving the cursed abyss behind. They emerged from the sea, gasping for breath and covered in phosphorescent slime. The Stella Maris was gone, lost to the abyss forever. Captain James and the surviving crew members were left with only the memories of their harrowing descent and the knowledge that some mysteries were not meant to be uncovered. As they made their way back to civilization, they could only wonder what other terrors lay hidden in the depths of the ocean, waiting to be discovered by those who dared to sail into the unknown.